Have you ever started a book thinking just one chapter before bed? And suddenly it's 2 a.m., you're exhausted, but you physically cannot stop reading? That's not because the book is magical. It's because authors understand how the human brain works, and they use very specific tricks to pull us forward. Let me explain this in the simplest way possible. Let's start. So, the number one reason is we are hardwired for stories. Humans are naturally wired for stories. Long before phones or movies, stories helped us survive. They taught us who to trust, what to fear, and how people behave. That's why when a book starts with a line like, something wasn't right, your brain immediately goes, okay, what's wrong? I need details. Books like The Kite Runner or Life of Pi hook us fast because our brain treats stories as meaningful, not optional. Reason two, your brain always wants to know what happens next. Our brains hate unfinished things. When something is interrupted, we remember it more strongly. Authors use this by creating open loops. If you read, and then I saw who was standing at the door, and the chapter ends, your brain is like, absolutely not. We are not sleeping until we know this. That discomfort is called the Zeigarnik Effect. Unfinished things stick in your mind more. That's why books like The Silent Patient, Gone Girl, and A Game of Thrones are impossible to stop mid-chapter. Your brain wants closure, and authors refuse to give it. Rude, but effective. Reason three, reading is escape therapy. When a book is good, you don't just read it, you enter it. Reading becomes a mental escape from stress, routine, and real life. While reading, your brain relaxes but also stays engaged. That's why after a long day, we reach for books like Harry Potter, It Ends With Us, or comfort romances. Your body is tired, but your brain is like, let's live someone else's life for a while. This is called narrative transportation. Your brain temporarily checks out of reality. Reason four, plot twists drop randomly. One reason page-turning books are so addictive is because you never know when something big will happen. Most of the time, the story feels calm, normal conversations, daily life, slow build-up. And then suddenly, bam, a twist drops out of nowhere. You're reading peacefully and then you get a line like, the message was from someone who was supposed to be dead. Your brain immediately wakes up. This works exactly like social media scrolling. When you open Instagram or TikTok, most posts are just okay. But every once in a while, there's a shocking video, a dramatic reveal, or a viral clip that makes you stop scrolling. Because you never know which post will be exciting, your brain keeps scrolling. Books like The Girl on the Train, Gone Girl, Verity, and Shutter Island use the same trick. You read page after page thinking nothing huge is happening, but your brain stays alert because it knows a twist could appear at any moment. Authors also space twists unevenly. Sometimes you get two surprises close together, sometimes none for a long time. That unpredictability is key. Your brain learns, if I stop now, I might miss the big moment. So just like social media says, one more scroll, page-turning books whisper, one more page, the twist might be next. That's why you don't stop. Reason five, we get emotionally attached to characters. Authors create characters who feel real, flawed, insecure, hopeful. Over time, we form one-sided emotional bonds with them, almost like friendships. Characters who think, I knew this was a bad idea, I did it anyway, are especially dangerous. Books like Bridget Jones's Diary, Eleanor Oliphant is completely fine, and rom-coms make us care deeply about what happens next. Reason six, strong emotions hijack your brain. When a book creates strong emotions, your brain switches into tunnel vision mode. Logic steps aside and attention locks in. This usually happens during scenes of embarrassment, jealousy, heartbreak, anger, or desire. At that moment, your brain reacts as if this is happening to you, not to a fictional character. That's why you stop noticing time, noise, or how tired you are. Romance books like Me Before You, Normal People, bully romances, and dramatic contemporary fiction are masters at this. They don't rely on action, they rely on emotional pressure. Reason 7, the almost torture technique. Characters always want something. Love, justice, answers, redemption, but they don't get it easily. Authors delay these desires on purpose. Almost confessions, almost kisses, almost truths, seen in books like The Spanish Love Deception, Pride and Prejudice, and Slow Burn Romances. You keep reading because you want to see when and how the character finally gets what they want. Reason 8. Short chapters are a scam. Authors control speed using short chapters, sharp dialogue, and rising tension. During intense moments, chapters become shorter and faster. You think, this chapter is only 5 pages. Suddenly, it's morning. Your brain thinks it's making a small commitment. It's a liar. This pacing trick is common in Colleen Hoover books, Frida McFadden thrillers, and The Hunger Games. Reason 9. Side plots and false clues keep you guessing. Good books don't follow just one straight line. They add side stories and misleading clues. Your brain keeps trying to connect everything. This is why mysteries and thrillers feel mentally addictive. You're constantly trying to figure out what matters and what doesn't. Reason 10. Cliffhangers work on every level. Cliffhangers don't just happen at chapter ends. They happen mid-scene, mid-sentence, even mid-thought. If you read, she recognized the name and froze. Your brain senses missing information and refuses to stop until it gets it. This creates mild obsession. The story stays in your head even when you're not reading. Reason 11. The reward loop and book hangover. Every finished chapter gives your brain a small reward, a feeling of progress and satisfaction. That reward pushes you to keep going. Even after finishing the book, you think about it, talk about it, and add more books to your TBR. That's why series, recommendations, and Goodreads feel irresistible. So, page-turning books don't work because they're complicated or intellectual. They work because they understand how our brains react to stories, emotions, and unfinished moments. That's why we lose sleep and still say, worth it.